my good buddy Bob Wenzel's music from the 60s as the high school All-American, a Rutgers star, longtime coach. Joins us, of course. He's part of the Mad Dog crew here. He's our college basketball analyst, and he says hello. Robert, pleasure. Nice to talk to you today, pal. How you doing, okay?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm absolutely great. I'm looking forward to these games. I'm sure you are. I understand that I was running around, but I understand you had Lon Kruger on, huh?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, as I want to ask you two things on coaching before we get to the
Okay.
ball games. You know, Kruger is a very unheralded coach who is a hell of a now maybe it's because he was at so many spots, but he had a hell of a career. You know, 5 teams in the NCAA, two
Yeah.
Final Four teams.
Awesome.
But I don't think that many people realize how good he was, Bob. I think other coaches do, but the fans don't. Let's talk about that for a sec. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, he took Florida to the Final Four, and before Billy Donovan, won the 2 national championships way back, and he moved around. Of course, he was a very good player in college at Kansas State, and he was at a small school, Pan American, for some time. Then he was the head coach at Kansas State, and then he was at Illinois and Florida and UNLV. I mean, everywhere he went, he had success, and all different kind of places. I mean, it wasn't like like a Boeheim or a Krzyzewski. Oklahoma, obviously, for 10 years. I mean, he bounced around the country, and kind of in the coaching business, you stay ahead of the posse, if you know what I mean. And the more years you coach at one place, you have a lot of friends at the beginning, and they dwindle as it goes on, I think, sometimes. But and he's a really, really good guy and terrific coach. And, the last couple of years, he's had this penchant for, having one superstar. He had Trey Young, right? And Trey Young led the nation in scoring and assists, I think, before he was drafted by the Hawks. And, that was sort of antithetical to the way he had always coached. He had always been a very team guy. The Florida team that he took to the Final Four, there weren't any pros on that team or anything. I mean, they just kind of played great together. And now he has this kid, Austin Reeves, who, dominates the offense. So he kind of, moved along with the times, and stayed current always. And, good athlete himself. I think he'll be missed in the profession. He was very, very good.
Highly respected, right, Bob?
Absolutely. I mean, not only as a coach, but as a guy too. I mean, he never said bad things about people. He ran clean programs. I mean, he was, middle America. Brought up in that part of the world, and good values, and I mean, just a terrific guy. And I think 40-something years, wasn't it? Something like that.
I mean, early 70s. I didn't realize he was that good a player. He's right around your age, so you're maybe a touch older. He was. So you remember him at Kansas State as a player. I didn't realize that. You knew him as a ball player.
Sure. He was a terrific player, and all conference type guy, scorer, 2-guard, and from what I'm told, he's a heck of a golfer too. So he could play with you.
Now he takes the Hawks job. And that doesn't work out. Now the problem with it is the bad teams in the NBA need the coaches, and so if they want to go the college route, they take the good coaches. But the problem is, if you're a good coach in college and you run to the NBA, you're getting a bad team, and that seems like what could have happened with Kruger in Atlanta. Let's talk about that for a sec. Go ahead.
I think that happens a lot of times, Chris. Where your friend and mine, Jeff Van Gundy, he's been offered a lot of jobs since he left coaching, and he doesn't want to take a job where you lose. I mean, there's a lot of games. You're 82 games. You're losing 50 of them or something, 60. That's not a pleasant existence. And that's usually the kind of jobs that the college guys get an opportunity for. And so I think he was caught in that. And, Patino, when he went to the Celtics, not only did he have the coaching title, but I think he was also the president or the GM or something, so he had say over who he was going to get on his team also, which is, what you want when you're a coach. And, sometimes that doesn't exist. Sometimes it does. And when it doesn't, there's a natural conflict between the general manager and the head coach, because the general manager says to the owner, hey, I got this guy all these great players. He's just not coaching them well. And the coach says, well, you didn't get the players that I wanted, that kind of thing. So he may have gotten caught up in some of that. But he certainly survived and continued to – and now his son got the job at UNLV.
Yeah, he mentioned that maybe that contributed to him wanting to go watch his son coach. So that's interesting too. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, Shaq is smart. Seems like he got out when the getting was good, and it sounds like he's going to take the Marquette job. Now, we talked about Marquette in Texas the last time you were on. You think Marquette's a very good job. Now, it's not Texas, but Shaq is not stupid. No. He sees an opportunity. He realizes that he's coaching for his life in Austin. Let's get out. That's how it reads to me. I probably have that read correct. Is that correct?
No, I agree with you. And, Shaka was the king of the world when he was at VCU, and this up-and-coming guy, bright, articulate, style, havoc, they called it, pressing, turning over, exciting, and all that. And, he never really got it going at Texas like they thought he would. And, Texas, as we mentioned before last week, I mean, they have everything that you could possibly want. Great players in their state, best facilities that you could possibly have, successful, good school, great campus, great social life. I mean, the whole ball of wax. They run that conference in terms of, not in terms of basketball winning. Kansas does that, but in terms of, their power and so on. I think it's fair to say they underachieved with him there. And I think, as I mentioned last time, I think Marquette is a fantastic job. They have great attendance. They have great interest. They got the pro arena there. You see NBA guys. You're in the same kind of, place as them. I think it's a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, I think we were talking about the fact that I thought Porter Moser of Loyola Chicago would have been perfect for Marquette, because Marquette is a Jesuit school just like Loyola Chicago is. And I thought he would be a perfect fit there. But obviously that's not happening. And but now that Texas is open, holy cow. Everybody's going to be scrambling for that job.
Who is going – Texas is going to want what kind of candidate to coach there? They're going to want a young assistant that we've not heard. They want a young guy from a one-bid league. Do they want a big-time guy? Who is Texas going to go after? Give me a name.
I think that's a good question, but they certainly don't want an assistant coach. They're gonna want a head coach, and I don't know who that coach might be, but if you were outlining somebody without outlining the paradigm for it without actually a person in mind, you would want a guy who's been successful at whatever level he's at. If he's a mid-major guy, he's been in the NCAA tournament. If he's a coach at a other school where, Big East school or a Pac-12 school or, schools like that, you have to be near the top of the league. They can go after anyone, really. That job is so good that they could go after anyone. You think about different guys, some of the guys who are making noise right now in the tournament. The coach of Oral Roberts was an assistant at Baylor, Paul Mills, for a long time, 13, 14 years. So maybe you say, we'll take a look at him. He's a Big 12 guy. He's knows the league, and now he's shown that he has success with a style of play that is entertaining. The guy from North Texas also was a Baylor assistant coach. Maybe McCausland is his name. So maybe you look at guys like that are in your geographic area. But to me, Texas, they could contact anyone, literally anyone. They could contact Jay Wright, and Jay Wright, loves Villanova. I don't think he's ever going to leave Villanova, but, if I'm Texas, I'm going after him. So the last time they went after a mid-major, when they got Shaka, that they went after a mid-major guy who had very good success. So maybe they'll follow that path again. It's hard to tell.
Well, they didn't have success with the mid-major guys, so maybe they would go away from that, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's going to be interesting. The Indiana job is really interesting.
Well, that's the next thing I wanted to get to. How about Thad Matta? A lot of people think he's a candidate. He hasn't coached for a while. He got out of it. They're going to go after the Ohio State coach. Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if they're going to go after Chris Holtman, but Thad Matta would be interesting.
Well, that's
I think now that's not a good job. All of the stuff recently in the last 3 or 4 days, all of the kids are transferred. 3 starters just went into the portal. They're transferring to Mad Dog University after the season is over, and there's a mass exodus of players. So if you go in there, you got a job to do, and just in terms of creating a roster. And there's high expectations, as we all know, at Indiana. There have been a lot of guys who have gone through there and have not, Tom Crean and now Miller and Kelvin Sampson and Davis and, a bunch of guys that did not meet the expectations of what the powers that be in Indiana basketball want. And so it is not an easy job. If I had to pick between Indiana and Texas, there would be no doubt that Texas would be,
Yeah, the only problem with that is though, Bob, I know you don't have an issue with this. Texas is a football school that happens to play basketball. Indiana's a basketball school that happens to play football. Wouldn't I want, if I was a big coach, wouldn't I want the challenge of going to the basketball school? How about that?
Well, I think that's I don't agree with that thinking. I think that thinking existed for a long time, but I don't think it is anymore. You heard of Alabama football, right? And now look what they're doing in basketball right now. They're in the Sweet 16, and this guy's got it rolling. Look at Arkansas. They're in the Sweet 16. They're a football school. Michigan, obviously, right, a football school. But, I think that the uber successful football schools help the basketball program because, A, it's a great thing to do during the fall, in terms of the social thing and everything around football for the kids on the basketball team, and it makes for financial stability for the entire athletic department, which is great for the basketball program also. So I think, and in a way, like when Billy Donovan was at Florida, he won 2 national championships in basketball, and of course Florida is a football school. There's no doubt about that, and but it was good for him because during he wasn't in the spotlight 12 months a year, 365 days a year, like you are at Kentucky. That can be nice for a coach. You not that you don't work, but you're not in the spotlight and the constant, attention to every detail of what you're doing and what everybody on your team is doing. So I think that that's an asset. I think that if you're in a big-time league and your football program is not good, I think that's a drag on the basketball program.
Interesting. So, wow. So you think if you were in this spot right now and you were a huge candidate and both came after Bob Wenzel, you go to Texas instead of going to Indiana?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Is the money the same for both those schools, or is Texas going to offer you more?
I think Texas can offer you whatever they want, whatever is necessary. And I think they would, not that Indiana couldn't do that with, alums and so on, but Texas financially, I think can do whatever they want.
Would it scare people to take the Indiana job because of Bobby Knight and his presence?
No, I think that it's so far removed. I mean, his aura of the undefeated season and his being such a larger than life candidate person during that time, but that's kind of ancient history now, and I don't think that looms over the program. I think they just love basketball and they want to win, and they expect to win. And sometimes they hearken back to those years of Bob Knight, but they're gone. And so they've got to adjust to the new reality of what's going on in the world. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a great place to play. I think they have the ability to recruit at a high level. But right now, it's a difficult job. And, I think there's better ones out there.
Wow. Bob, hang in. We'll do the games in a sec. Bob Wenzel, we continue. 17 after the hour. Mad Dog Unleashed.